Heartwarming bond revealed. Soldiers K9 and little girl unite to save her dying brother's life. Emily sat on the front steps, clutching a worn-out teddy bear to her chest. The sun dipped low in the sky, casting golden hues over the neighborhood, but her heart felt heavy. Just days ago, her vibrant world had faded. Her older brother, Ethan, once full of laughter and adventure, now struggled with a rare illness that their mother couldn't afford to treat. Their humble home, filled with love and dreams, felt like a sinking ship in an ocean of despair, but everything changed when she met Max. The retired K9, a majestic German shepherd with soulful eyes, appeared before her almost like magic. His handler, Sergeant Nathan, had seen Emily's despair during one of the community's many bake sales aimed at helping her family. He introduced Max with a proud smile, a hint of pain behind his soldier's demeanor. "This guy is my best friend, and I think he could be yours too." Her mother hesitated at first. A dog? Another mouth to feed? But when she saw the spark in Emily's eyes, her heart wavered. With a reluctant nod, they welcomed Max into their home. The air soon filled with joyous barks and Emily's giggles as she tossed a ball in the front yard. Max would leap and spin, chasing after it with a vigor that brought a smile to Emily's face, easing the weight of sorrow just a little bit. Days passed and Ethan's condition wavered. As his breaths turned shallow in the small, shared bedroom, Emily found solace in Max. She noticed the way he would sit by her side when Ethan coughed in the night, his head tilted as if trying to understand the illness stealing her brother away. It was during these quiet moments when a strange understanding formed between them. Max had an uncanny ability to sense worry, nudging her gently, reminding her that love didn't shy away from tough times. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. As the shadow of financial ruin loomed closer, the community began to rally. Bake sales turned into yard sales, and neighbors offered what little they could. Each pie sold, each trinket bought was a nail in the coffin of despair. They fought like soldiers on a battlefield, and it lit a fire in Emily's heart. Maybe, just maybe, they could help Ethan, but as hope flickered, so did the reality of it all. Ethan was getting worse, and Emily understood the weight of their struggle more than anyone. She confided in Max, sometimes sobbing against his fur, and in those moments, Max seemed to listen, offering comfort. Everything felt delicate, like the world was balancing on the edge of a knife. Hadn't they always dreamed of a better life, and did that dream not hinge on their bond as a family? Whatever lay ahead, Emily knew they would face it together, her, Max, and Ethan. But just as the community unified, an unexpected twist threatened their fragile harmony. What if the answers they sought were buried deeper than anyone imagined? Would they find a way to survive the storm? The next day dawned with a biting chill in the air, as if the universe itself was holding its breath. Emily dressed quickly, Max's warm presence beside her providing a sense of comfort that wrapped around her like a soft blanket. But the reality of Ethan's condition weighed heavily on her heart. The laughter that once filled their little home was now replaced with hushed whispers and the faint sound of machines beeping in the corner of the room. Emily couldn't shake the feeling that time was running out. She sat beside Ethan that morning, brushing his hair back from his forehead. He looked small and frail beneath the covers, the vibrant spark she loved so much dimmed. Tears pricked at her eyes, and she tried to swallow the lump in her throat. Just then, Max padded over, sensing her distress. He nudged his nose against her side, offering a silent reminder that they were in this together. "Hey, Max," she whispered, her voice barely audible. "Can you help me make a sign for the next bake sale? We need to raise more money for Ethan." The K9 tilted his head, as if he understood, and Emily felt a surge of determination. after a quick breakfast, they gathered supplies: poster board, markers, and even some glitter from her crafting corner. Emily poured her heart into that sign, every swirl of color reflecting her love and hope. Max sat nearby, his eyes watchful and caring, a quiet strength in his presence. They made a team, united by purpose. Just as they finished, the doorbell rang. It was Sergeant Nathan. He looked worn but determined, a kindness gleaming in his eyes. "Hey, Emily," he greeted. "I heard there's a bake sale coming up. I thought I might be able to lend a hand." His presence lightened the room. It felt safe, almost like family. "We can always use more help," said Emily, her spirits lifting. She noticed how quickly Max bounded to Nathan, tail wagging furiously, eager for attention. The bond they shared was undeniable, and it brought a warmth to the cold day. Before long, the trio was working side by side, planning and baking as the sun peeked through the clouds. Laughter echoed in the house, and for a moment, Emily felt a glimmer of hope wash over her. They were fighting. They were trying. As evening crept in, Nathan received an unexpected phone call. Emily could see his face change as he spoke, his brows furrowing with concern. "What do you mean she's leaving?" he blurted out, turning towards Emily, his expression grave. After a few minutes of quiet conversation, he ended the call, looking lost. "Emily, I need to tell you something," Nathan said, his voice steadier than his eyes. "It seems like there's an opportunity for Ethan, a possible treatment. But it comes with conditions. It's complicated." Emily's heart raced. This was the sliver of hope they had been waiting for. "What is it?" she pressed, excitement bubbling beneath her sadness. Nathan took a deep breath, choosing his words carefully. "It involves reaching out to someone who has resources, someone I thought we would never have to face again." He hesitated, his voice trailing off. "It might put you in a tricky situation." Emily felt her chest tighten. The thought of jeopardizing their family's trust for a chance at healing was terrifying. Yet the idea of losing Ethan was unbearable. She looked at Max, grounding herself in his steady gaze. "We have to try," Emily finally whispered, "whatever it takes." But little did she know, the path ahead was fraught with unexpected challenges and hidden truths that could change everything. Would they dare to take that risk, given all they had fought for? Nathan stood there, unsure of how to continue. Emily's heart hammered against her chest. She had been holding onto a fragile thread of hope, and now it felt as if that thread could snap with a single whisper. "Who are you talking about?" she asked hesitantly, bracing herself for the answer. Nathan sighed, running a hand through his unruly hair. "It's someone from my past. Someone I thought I had put behind me. But Ethan's situation, it forces my hand." His expression was pained, as if he were caught between two worlds, the one he knew and the one he desperately wanted to protect. Max, sensing the tension, moved to Emily's side, his warm body a soothing reminder of the love that surrounded them. She scratched behind his ears, gathering her thoughts. "Tell me everything," Emily said, her voice steadying as she focused her energy on finding a way forward. "This person, her name is Carla," Nathan began, his brow furrowing further. "She's a biotech engineer. Years ago, we had a falling out. She went down a different path, one that I didn't agree with. But recently, she's been working on treatments that could potentially help in cases like Ethan's." The issue is, Nathan hesitated once more, the weight of unspoken words lingering in the air. "Is there a catch?" Emily pressed, her heart sinking. She couldn't afford to cling to another hope only to have it pulled away. "There is. To get her attention, I might have to demonstrate a commitment to her work, a project she's been leading. It means helping her with something that, frankly, I might not agree with," Nathan replied, shame tinting his cheeks. "I'm not sure how you'll feel about it." Emily's mind raced. The thought of reaching out to someone from Nathan's past felt risky, and she couldn't shake the fear of it backfiring. But then she looked at Ethan, lying so frail and small. If it could help him. I mean, why not? She whispered, almost to herself. Nathan nodded slowly, relief flickering across his features. Thank you for considering it. The project is risky and ethically challenging. I need to assure her we are all in. As the evening wore on, they started mapping out the logistics of contacting Carla. While they prepared, Emily's phone buzzed. A message from her sister popped up, just a simple thinking of you. Yet, it felt like a lifeline thrown into a stormy sea, grounding her amid rising waves of uncertainty. As they finished planning, a sudden knock echoed through the house. Max perked up, barking lightly, his senses alert. Emily exchanged a glance with Nathan, her heart quickening again. Who could that be? She wondered aloud. I'll check, Nathan replied, moving toward the door. Emily tried to calm her racing heart, but a flutter of anxiety brewed in her stomach. Moments later, she heard Nathan's voice, the tone firm but uncertain. What do you mean? You shouldn't be here. Emily's breath caught as she felt a sense of impending dread. Was this about to take a turn she wasn't prepared for? Just as she felt her stomach drop, Nathan stepped back, and a figure loomed in the doorframe, silhouetted against the dim light of the hallway. Emily leaned in, her heart pounding louder than ever. What awaited her on the other side of the door? Was it another twist in their already complicated journey, or the very help they needed? Uncertainty hung in the air like thick fog. She braced herself for the unknown. Would they find the answer they sought? Or would this meeting challenge everything they believed about themselves and each other? Nathan's heart raced as he watched the figure step closer. The light illuminated a familiar face, and a rush of memories streamed through him, both good and bad. It was Carla. Why are you here? Nathan asked, his voice steady but colored with disbelief. Emily stood behind him, eyebrows knit in confusion and concern. Carla shrugged off the question with an air of reluctance. I heard about Ethan, she said, her tone surprisingly soft. I thought I could help. Nathan felt a mix of emotions surging inside him. Help? After all this time, is that really why you came? Can we talk? She urged, her eyes darting between Nathan and Emily. The urgency in her voice made it clear she wasn't here to waste time. Emily stepped forward, emboldened by a flicker of hope. If you have something that could help Ethan, then yes, we need to hear you out. Carla nodded, visibly relieved. The three of them moved into the living room, and the air thickened with unspoken tension. Max busied himself near the door, sensing the varying moods in the room. Ethan needs a treatment that's cutting edge, something not available to the public, Carla began, her gaze steady on Nathan. I'm working on a project that could revolutionize how we approach his condition. But I need someone I trust on the inside. Nathan raised an eyebrow. And you think that's me? After everything? I came to you, didn't I? Carla shot back, a slight edge to her voice. I can't do this alone, Nathan. The risks are huge, but if it works, it could save him. Emily's heart was pounding, each beat punctuated by the stakes in this conversation. What kind of risks? Carla hesitated. It's about using genetic enhancements. It's uncharted territory, and there are ethical concerns. But sometimes, breakthrough science comes with difficult decisions. Nathan felt a weight settle in his chest. You want me to help push the boundaries of what's morally acceptable? I want to save Ethan, Carla replied, her voice confident yet imploring. I know we've had our differences, but this isn't about us. It's about him. Ethan. The name sent jolts of urgency through Emily. She glanced at Nathan, who seemed torn. Could they trust Carla? Would they sacrifice their values for a chance to save her brother's life? Nathan sank into the couch, his face buried in his hands for a moment. He was wrestling with the past and the present, the reality that they might have to step into a gray area they had always avoided. Emily felt the air crackle with tension. "What do we do?" she asked softly, urgency lacing her voice. "We need time to think," Nathan finally said, looking back at Carla. "But we also need to know exactly what you're proposing." Carla leaned forward, a flicker of determination in her eyes. "Then I'll lay everything out on the table. No more secrets." Just then, a commotion interrupted. Max barked fiercely, rushing to the window. The sound of heavy footsteps approached, jarring the poignant moment. "Who's out there?" Nathan's voice rose, worry creasing his brow. Emily felt her gut twist again. Could this be yet another hurdle in their already complicated journey? As a shadow passed by the window, her heart raced, and she held her breath, bracing for whatever was coming next. With uncertainty hanging thick in the air, she wondered if this would bring an opportunity or a deeper complication. What was about to unfold right outside their door? The footsteps grew louder, a firm and deliberate cadence that set off alarm bells in Nathan's mind. He exchanged anxious glances with Emily and Carla, each of them silently weighing the looming presence outside. "Max, quiet," Nathan whispered. The dog obeyed but remained alert, his stance rigid as his nose twitched, trying to identify who was out there. In that charged silence, the air felt heavy. Emily's pulse quickened, each thud echoing in her ears. What if it was someone she didn't want to see? Or worse, someone who could make things even more complicated? Suddenly, the front door rattled slightly. "Nathan! It's me!" came a voice he recognized, a familiar tone that sparked relief and confusion simultaneously. "Josh?" Nathan called out, moving toward the door as he opened it just enough to peek through the crack. There stood Josh, his rugged military attire contrasting sharply with the vulnerability of the moment. "Thank God!" Josh exclaimed as he stepped inside, shaking off the chill of the night and looking back nervously into the darkness behind him. "I thought I'd lost you guys." "We were just talking," Nathan stammered, caught off guard by his brother's sudden arrival. "What are you doing here?" "Ethan's situation is worse than we thought," Josh explained, urgency laced in his every word. "I came to warn you." He paused, his gaze darting to Carla, "and to help." Emily's heart sank as Josh's revelations crashed over her like a tidal wave. "How much worse?" she asked, her voice trembling. "His last test results came back with complications. He needs new support, something he can't get from the doctors. They're all out of options." Josh shook his head, frustration clear in his features. "Carla believes she can help," Nathan replied, sensing tension bubbling within the room anew. "But it comes with risks." Josh's brow furrowed as he tried to juggle the weight of the news and the implications of Carla's proposition. "Risks? What kind of risks?" "Genetic enhancements," Carla interjected quietly, looking directly at Josh. "I know it sounds extreme, but I believe we can turn this around. It could save Ethan." Max shifted at Nathan's feet, sensing the emotional plunge in the room. The air grew heavy with unspoken fears and unkind truths. Emily felt her breath quickening again. Was this really the route they wanted to take? Josh's eyes narrowed. "You want to play with science where the stakes are life and death? After everything we've faced?" "I'm not asking for just blind trust, Josh," Carla replied, a hint of defensiveness creeping into her voice. "I'm asking for a chance. For Ethan." Nathan considered the faces surrounding him. Emily, pleading with hope, Josh, weighing the burden of family loyalty, and Carla, driven by a mix of urgency and regret. "What if we did this?" he said, his voice steady but trembling with uncertainty. "What if we put all our cards on the table and decided? Could we face the consequences together?" Suddenly, a loud crash echoed from outside, breaking the tense moment. All heads turned towards the window as they heard a commotion, footsteps pounding, voices shouting. "What now?" Emily gasped, heart racing as she moved closer to Nathan. Nathan's mind raced. This was spiraling out of control, hurtling towards a point none of them wanted to reach. He knew the urgency of Ethan's situation was real, but this new disturbance could change everything. With the door ajar now, the situation beyond their walls was unfolding lest they miss something crucial, perhaps a decision that could provide clarity or plunge them deeper into chaos. Let us figure this out. We need to be prepared for whatever's coming, Nathan declared, as he took a step toward the window, bracing for what lay ahead. And just then, the front door burst open, revealing a figure cloaked in darkness, adorned with a patch that made Nathan's stomach drop. What they thought was a night of decisions and hope suddenly transformed into a nightmare they hadn't seen coming. Nathan's heart raced as the shadowy figure stepped inside, the scent of damp earth following it. The dim light revealed the patch on the soldier's uniform, and Nathan's breath hitched. "No, it can't be," he muttered, his voice barely above a whisper. "Freeze!" The soldier barked, his voice sharp and commanding. Emily flinched, instinctively moving closer to Nathan as Josh squared his shoulders, prepared for confrontation. "You need to get out of here," the soldier continued, his gaze piercing and intense. "Things are spiraling. You're not safe. I can help you, but you have to trust me." He stepped further into the room, illuminating his face, a face that was both familiar and foreign. It was Michael, a war buddy of Josh who had gone deep undercover. "What do you mean we're not safe?" Josh demanded, a mix of anger and worry flooding his features. "We've already lost so much. This isn't about a family feud anymore," Michael replied, urgency weaving through his words. "It's bigger than that. You're all targets now." Emily's heart sank. "Targets? For who?" "Factions," Michael said simply. "They don't care about your blood ties. They're after Ethan's case, his potential." Nathan's stomach twisted. Ethan had been a beacon of hope for all of them, but that same hope had become a dangerous weapon. "We can't let anyone get to him. We have to protect him at all costs," he declared, the weight of responsibility settling heavily on his shoulders. Josh's expression shifted, understanding the stakes. "But what about Carla's idea? The enhancements? If it gives Ethan a fighting chance?" "No," Carla interrupted, her voice firm. "We can't risk making him a target. This plan could put him in even greater danger." Max growled softly, sensing the tension. Nathan crouched down, stroking the dog's fur as he tried to process the chaos engulfing them. He needed clarity. "Michael, tell us what's happening. Why now? After all this time?" Before Michael could respond, a roar echoed from beyond the house, sending vibrations through the wooden walls. "They're here!" he shouted, urgency lacing his tone. "We've got to move, now." "Move where?" Emily asked, fear creeping into her voice as she looked between the men. "What about Ethan?" "He's in a clinic across town," Michael replied, quickly. "They're hunting for anyone connected to his case. We need to evacuate, now. Let us go." Nathan's mind raced. How could they get Ethan? What if they were too late? "Josh, find the keys. Carla, gather whatever you can for Ethan. We don't leave him behind." With a nod, the determination in Nathan's eyes ignited a spark. They had come too far to surrender. As they scrambled to prepare, the reality of the situation loomed over them like a heavy fog. The soldier's warnings echoed in Nathan's ears. This was only the beginning. Then came the sound shouts, crashing footsteps, and the unmistakable roar of engines. Nathan turned toward the window and saw headlights gathering in the distance, beams piercing the night. "Now!" Michael shouted, shoving Nathan toward the door. "We need to go." A part of Nathan wanted to argue, to insist on the plan, but the urgency left no room for hesitation. He glanced back at Emily, fear etched on her face. "Stay close. Whatever happens, we face it together." They burst into the night, adrenaline surging, hearts pounding as they ran. Determination and dread coursed through him, each step taking them further from safety and deeper into uncertainty. As the pounding footsteps drew closer, Nathan couldn't shake the feeling that the worst was yet to come. Little did they know, the next twist would redefine everything they thought they understood about sacrifice and survival. Nathan's feet pounded against the pavement, the cold night air filling his lungs as he sprinted alongside Emily. The urgency of their situation surged through him like electricity. He could hear the distant shouts, angry and demanding, growing louder with every moment. Michael led the way, his military training coming back to him as he navigated through the shadows of the neighborhood. "Over here," he said, pointing to a narrow alley. They ducked inside, momentarily hidden from view. Nathan pressed his back against the damp brick wall, his heart thumping like a drum. "Are they following us?" Carla whispered, her voice trembling as she peered around the corner. "Not yet," Michael replied, but Nathan could hear the tension in his voice. "They didn't have much time." "Ethan's in that clinic," Nathan said, trying to keep his voice steady. "We need a plan to get him out." "Do we know if it's secure?" Josh asked, sweat beading on his forehead. "We can't just walk in there." Michael's expression turned serious. "I still have contacts inside. I can get us in, but it's risky." He glanced towards the street as a car sped by, lights sweeping over them like a spotlight. "We're running out of time." Emily squeezed Nathan's hand, her small fingers trembling in his grip. It broke his heart to see her so frightened. "What if we can't find him?" she murmured, wide-eyed. "We will find him," Nathan promised, pulling her close. "We won't let anything happen to him. I swear." Josh shifted, glancing at Carla, who was holding Max close, her face determined yet worried. "What do you want to do?" "If Michael can get us in, we shouldn't waste time." "Let us go then," Nathan said, straightening his shoulders. "But we stick together. We protect each other." They broke from the alley, sprinting towards the clinic with Michael navigating. The streets felt alive with tension. It was as if the walls themselves were watching. Nathan's thoughts ping-ponged between fear and hope. Every step was a reminder of what was at stake, his brother's life. As they neared the clinic, they could see the lights flickering through the windows. The place looked eerily quiet, almost too quiet amid the chaos that surrounded them. Nathan stopped for a moment, scanning for any signs of danger. "Okay, this is it," Michael said, his voice low. "I'll go in first. Signal me if anything doesn't feel right." "Be careful," Emily said, her voice a whisper. With a nod, Michael moved forward, disappearing into the shadows of the clinic. The rest of them huddled together, holding their breath as they waited. Time felt suspended as Nathan's mind raced. What if they were too late? What if Ethan needed them, and they couldn't reach him in time? Each thought tortured him, making his heart pound harder. Minutes felt like hours until finally, Michael emerged, a tight smile breaking on his face. "It's clear. Let us move." With renewed determination, they rushed inside. The air was sterile, and the fluorescent lights buzzed slightly. Nathan could see the doors to the wards ahead. His heart quickened again. "Ethan!" He called out softly, urgency threading through each word. The silence answered him, making the space feel even more desolate. They moved swiftly, glancing at the door signs. Then, the last door at the end of the hallway caught his attention. It was labeled Patient Room 6. Breath hitching in his throat, Nathan approached, his hand on the cool metal of the doorknob. He exchanged anxious glances with the others. Every heartbeat echoed in his ears. But just as he was about to turn the handle, a chilling sound stopped him, heavy footsteps approaching. "Get down!" Michael ordered, immediately reacting. Nathan pulled Emily and Carla behind a nearby nurse's station, heart pounding as the door to room 6 rattled. They were running out of time, and something darker was closing in around them. What awaited them behind that door could change everything. Nathan held his breath, the adrenaline coursing through him like wildfire. His palm felt cold against the doorknob, a stark contrast to the tempest brewing within him. The footsteps grew closer, echoing ominously in the sterile hallway. Emily's grip tightened on his arm, her wide eyes reflecting a mix of fear and desperation. "Nathan, what do we do?" Michael, crouched low beside them, glanced towards the door, his jaw tense. "We wait. We have to know who's out there before we make any moves." Moments dragged on, feeling like an eternity. The footsteps paused outside room 6, and Nathan could hear muffled voices, their tones thuggish and aggressive. "He's in there." One of the voices barked, sending a jolt of ice down Nathan's spine. "No way he could be gone far," another replied, frustration lacing his words. "Check the other rooms." The heaviness of dread settled over them. Nathan felt his mind racing, each thought spiraling towards his brother. He couldn't imagine what Ethan was going through. Would they reach him in time? Nathan began, but the sound of a door slamming open interrupted him. "Check this hallway. Split up." Before Nathan had a chance to react, the sound of frantic footsteps cascaded down towards them. He felt the impulse to bolt, to flee, but there was nowhere to go. Then something uncanny happened. Emily, still trembling, released his arm. She stepped forward, determination blossoming on her face. "Nathan, I know where Ethan is," she whispered urgently. "And no. Emily, stay back." But she shook her head fiercely. "Listen. He needs us. I can help." Caught off guard, Nathan looked into her eyes, the trust and hope igniting an unexpected resolve within him. He could see it in her, a fierce loyalty, not just to Ethan but to all of them. Taking a breath, Michael nodded. "Okay, Emily. What do you have in mind?" "I saw the nurse's cart, there might be a window. If we can distract them," she said, pointing down the hallway where the emergency exit sign flickered dimly. Michael's eyes narrowed as he formulated a plan. "We'll create the diversion. Carla, you stay with Emily. Nathan and I will draw them out." "No." Nathan protested, fear tensing through him, but Michael's expression was resolute. "We don't have another option. It's time to fight for him." With that, they positioned themselves quietly near the nurse's station, Nathan's heart hammering as Emily squeezed his hand one last time, speaking softly. "I believe in you." As the footsteps grew louder, Nathan felt a tingle of determination strike him. A shared bond formed, they were fighting for Ethan's life, and nothing would stand in their way. The door beside him rattled again, but this time, he felt it. They were on the brink of something pivotal. "Now!" Michael whispered. They dashed out from their hiding place, moving deliberately to draw attention away from Emily and Carla. "Hey! Over here!" Michael called, his voice echoing while taking off down the opposite hallway. Nathan followed, adrenaline fueling his legs as the footsteps changed direction behind them. Together they sprinted, heartbeats sinking in a desperate rhythm, while the two girls slipped away toward the window. "Come on, Nathan. They're coming." As he turned back, he caught a glimpse of the men pursuing them, faces twisted with rage, and his heart thundered in his chest. "Ethan!" Nathan shouted again, "We're coming." The endless corridor felt like a war zone, the stakes escalating with each passing second. Would they reach him in time? The thought was blaring in his mind as he barreled forward, then he heard it, a faint voice echoing through the walls, a call so desperate it pierced through the chaos. "Help me!" Nathan's heart sank deeper than ever before. Every instinct in him roared with urgency. They were running out of time, and he was terrified of what lay in wait behind that door. Would they find Ethan alive? What if this was a moment they could never take back? Nathan's breath came in sharp gasps as adrenaline surged through him. The corridor stretched out endlessly, a battleground filled with uncertainty. He could feel the floor vibrating under the weight of chaos behind him. Michael was just ahead, his tall frame a stark silhouette against the harsh fluorescent lights. Nathan's mind raced, tangled in a web of fear and hope. "Where are we going?" Nathan yelled, desperation creeping into his voice. "Room 8. Michael shouted back, skidding to a halt at the door. "We'll check in there." Before they could decide their next move, a heavy thud echoed from behind, and the urgency in Nathan's chest intensified. He was acutely aware of the danger creeping closer. "Go!" Emily's voice sliced through his thoughts as she nudged him forward. "We can't stop." They pushed through the door, hearts pounding like drums, hoping that room 8 would provide the cover they so desperately needed. The room was dark, shadows looming in the corners, the curtains fluttered lightly, whispering secrets of the past. Nathan scanned the space, quickly assessing the furniture and the dim light filtering through the closed blinds. "We can't just hide, we have to move on." Michael nodded but glanced at the door in alarm as another thud echoed down the hall. "They could come any second," he said, shifting his stance anxiously. "Ethan might be in here," Nathan thought aloud, his voice trembling. "We have to check." "Wait." Emily stepped closer to a cupboard, eyes alight with determination. "This might be a way out." Nathan's pulse quickened with a mix of fear and hope. "You think there's something in there?" "Could be," she replied, fumbling with the handle. With a firm tug, the cupboard door creaked open, revealing dusty supplies stacked carelessly. "We can use these to help him or to slow them down." As she rifled through boxes, Nathan turned his gaze towards Michael. "We need to find a way to get to him, but we can't keep hiding. What if we make some noise? Draw them off again?" Michael nodded. "Let us create a loud distraction. Think it'll work?" Emily smiled now, confidence shining through. "They'll come running, considering how frantic they are. While they're distracted, we can slip away." A sudden pounding on the door startled them, and Nathan felt his body tense. "Go! Now!" With a fierce determination, Nathan grabbed a couple of bangles and a small bottle that looked like it could create a distraction. "On 3. We make noise. You two be ready to move." He counted, urgency intensifying. 1, 2, 3. They hurled the objects at the far wall. The crash reverberated, a moment of chaos exploding into life. The thuds at the door grew louder, and Nathan felt hope flicker. It was happening. "Let us go," Michael urged, leading them back through the door and into the hallway. As they dashed, Nathan's mind fixated on the muffled cries he had heard earlier. "Help me," the words haunted him, echoing in his memory like a warning bell. He could feel Ethan's presence, like a pinprick of light in an engulfing darkness. Suddenly, something caught his eye in the corner of his vision, a flash of silver glinting under a loose floor tile. He stumbled to a stop, heart racing, curiosity pulling him in. "Wait, what's that?" Emily turned back, confusion etched in her face. "Nathan. We can't stop. There's something here, I think it's important." He knelt, prying the tile loose as adrenaline coursed through his veins. As it gave way, his breath caught. It was a key, old, worn, but unmistakable. Would it open the door to Ethan? "Come on, Nathan," Michael urged, the urgency snapping him back. "We don't have the time." He pocketed the key. They needed to move. But now a new urgency lit a fire in him. Could this be their way in? "Let us get to room 6. He shouted, unsure of where hope might lead them next. But would the key unlock a new barrier, or a path to salvation? Nathan sprinted down the corridor, the key heavy in his pocket, every heartbeat echoing his resolve. Emily was at his side, her eyes wide with determination, her small hand clasping his tightly. They could do this. They had to do this for Ethan. Michael pushed through a side door, glancing back to ensure they were still together. "This way," he urged, leading them deeper into the labyrinth of the clinic. The tension thickened, weighed down by uncertainty and the unmistakable fear of failure. Would they find Ethan alive? They reached the end of the hallway, standing in front of room 6. The dim light illuminated the door, casting shadows around them. Nathan's breath quickened. This was it. He looked at Emily and Michael, who nodded, their faces reflecting a shared understanding of the stakes. Okay, let us do this, Nathan whispered, pulling the key from his pocket. It felt warm against his palm, as if it were alive with hope. He slid the key into the lock, his heart racing as it clicked open. With a deep breath, he pushed the door wide. Inside, the air was sterile but hung heavy with tension. There, beneath the bright lights, lay Ethan, the vibrant brother Nathan had fought so hard to save. The sight sent chills down his spine. He rushed to Ethan's side, eyes scanning the frail body, the beeping machines, and the array of tubes. Ethan! Nathan called softly, reaching for his brother's hand. A wave of relief washed over him when he felt Ethan's finger twitch slightly under his touch. Emily moved beside him, tears glistening in her eyes. Ethan, it's us! She cried, a mix of fear and hope spilling from her heart. Slowly, Ethan opened his eyes, confusion and then flickers of recognition gracing his features. Nathan, he murmured, his voice barely above a whisper. We're here, buddy. We're going to get you out of here, Nathan promised, steadying his voice against the turbulence in his heart. Just then, Michael poked his head through the doorway, scanning for threats. We need to hurry. They're still close. As they worked to disconnect Ethan from the machines, the sounds outside the room grew louder, angry voices mixed with deliberate footsteps. Anxiety surged through Nathan. They didn't have much time. Finally, they freed Ethan from the confines of the bed, wrapping him in a thin hospital blanket for warmth. I've got him, Nathan said, carrying his brother's fragile form as Emily guided them out of the room. But as they moved into the hallway, the chaos around them escalated. Shadows darted in the distance, voices grew closer, but they didn't stop. They couldn't stop. Back the way we came. Michael shouted, rallying them under the pressure of emergency. Racing against time, they dashed through the clinic, dodging the looming threat of their pursuers who were growing closer with each moment. With Ethan held tightly to his chest, Nathan pushed himself harder, adrenaline overtaking every doubt. This way! He urged, hearing the footfalls pounding harder behind them, a constant reminder of just how close danger was. Suddenly, they burst into the light of the exit, freedom glowing just ahead, but there they stood, 2 men blocking the alley exit, eyes narrowing menacingly. Not so fast. One growled, clearly ready for confrontation. In that moment of panic, Nathan felt a surge of fury and determination surge through him. Get Ethan! He yelled to Emily and Michael, unwilling to let fear dictate his steps. Nathan acted on instinct, ready to defend his brother when a familiar bark echoed through the space. Max sprang forward, his powerful form colliding with the men, catching them off guard. Go! Nathan screamed again, propelling his family forward. Emily and Michael picked up the pace, barreling past the stunned figures. They could do this, they had to stick together. As they burst into the night air, the cool wind hit their faces, mingled with hope and impending danger. This way! Michael pointed to a nearby fence, a way out of the situation. They scaled the barrier, helping Ethan as they dropped onto the other side. Heart racing, Nathan glanced back. Seeing shadows now approach the exit. We're almost there. He shouted, adrenaline coursing through him. Max stayed close behind, guiding them through the shadows until they reached the edge of the neighborhood. As dawn broke on the horizon, colorful rays stretched across the sky, filling the world with warmth. They kept moving until they found a patch of safety, hidden amongst the trees, a small clearing bathed in sunlight. Finally, they halted, panting heavily, but filled with relief. Ethan lay against the ground, chest rising and falling. Emily knelt beside him, worry etched on her face. "You're going to be okay," she whispered, tears streaming down her cheeks. As Nathan stared down at Ethan, that fragile spark of life was flickering, but not extinguished. "You hear me, Ethan? We're with you. We're all here for you, always. You're not alone," he said, squeezing his brother's hand tightly as Max lay beside them, offering his warmth. Minutes passed, thick with anxiety, when suddenly a familiar voice broke through. "I found you." Josh appeared at the edge of the clearing, breathless but relieved. Hope surged within Nathan. With eyes wide, he looked at Josh. "We have him. We need to get him help." Nods of determination passed between them, reinforcing that unbreakable bond of family. They would fight together, every step of the way, regardless of the challenges that lay ahead. And as dawn painted the sky brighter, this moment of triumph was a reminder the love between them could conquer anything. Together, they were unstoppable. Now, Nathan understood no matter how tough the journey, no one could dim their spirit. They'd rise, united, ready for whatever challenge the world had next. In that moment filled with unwavering hope, every pain and struggle melted away. Together, they would change the narrative not just for Ethan, but for their family. A bond forged through heartache blossomed into something beautiful. And as they stepped forward, each heartbeat synchronized with a newfound sense of faith, they knew they would find a way. After all, they were stronger together. Now it's your turn. You need to subscribe now to not miss the next exclusive stories that will inspire you. This is the moment to show your support. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. Comment your reactions and feelings about this emotional ending, and don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this amazing transformation. Your support matters.